This is the Jackson JS11. Now, it's their Chinese-made budget line of guitars. But when I saw this on Amazon, I was very intrigued. I picked this up for $138. It was on sale. I think the normal price is $159. But even at $159, you know, how good is this guitar going to be? Jackson has always had a great reputation, and they've always been known for building great guitars. So I was actually really excited to get this guitar in my hands and to play it and kind of give it a little bit of an evaluation. Now, when I was a kid, I was into guys like Eddie Van Halen, Steve Vai, you know, Def Leppard, all the 80s stuff like you do when you're growing up in that time. But something happened when I heard Stevie Ray Vaughan and Buddy Guy and guys like that, that music called to me in such a way where it completely changed my life. It was an incredible experience to just listen to that stuff and to be moved in that kind of way that, you know, literally I knew once I heard that stuff that that's the way I wanted to take my guitar playing. So back then they didn't have the internet and there wasn't as much information out there as there is today to modify or even learn more about EQing your amp or doing any of that stuff. So I ended up selling all of my pointy guitars and I got my first Tele. But it took a minute and it took a little while, and while I was going through the process, there was a time of frustration, you know what I mean? Because I didn't feel like I was moving in the direction I wanted to move in. And then when I saw this guitar, it brought me back to that point of like, you know what can we do with this guitar to get it closer to what I thought I needed to get to at the time? So we're really just recreating something that happened to me in my childhood and reviewing a guitar in the process to see what we can do with it to, you know, take it from a heavy metal guitar and be able to play more of the blues-based stuff that I was getting into at the time. So let's get to the unboxing. Okay, so here we are. Let's get this thing opened up. It was packed well, had lots of foam, and the white foamy baggy thing that comes in all of these guitars, it seems. I don't know which factory in China Jackson's making their guitars, but they're doing something way different than these other cats. Just unboxing it, I noticed a huge difference than some of the other guitars that I've reviewed so far. So it come out of the box great. I really like the fact that they covered the strings like that. And, well, it actually has a tag. That's so cool, man. Yeah, this was the inspection tag and a little thing for free guitar lessons. So what came in the case was a owner's manual and 3 Allen wrenches. But when I was looking at this owner's manual, something very different was in there than there is on the other guitars I've bought off of Amazon. And that is, it has the setup specs right there. So if you're wanting to learn how to set your guitar up, you have the answers right in front of you. You know what I mean? Like, that is such a great idea. I don't know why more of these guitar companies don't do that. And then here's the whammy bar. It just pushes right in there. It works fine. I play hardtail guitar, so I'll never use it. Here are the Allen wrenches I was talking about. There's 3 of them, and they have one that's for the saddles on the bridge for intonation. They have one for the truss rod for the adjustment. And then they have one for the little blades for the tremolo. So you can even adjust that to how you like it. So you have everything you need for the setup and you're good to go. So this was a very pleasant experience unboxing this thing. It came packed how it should. It came with everything you need to set it up how you want to. Even a little chart for you. So my first impressions of this guitar was a really great experience. It really has outstanding specs for the money. So let's get this thing apart and take a little closer look at it and see what we can find. So once I get the strings off it, we'll just start up at the top with the tuners and work our way around the guitar then. So they have the Jackson branded die-cast tuners, which are good quality. I mean, a lot of times you can feel play and stuff in some of these cheap guitars tuners, but not these. These were very tight and very stable. They have their own Jackson brand on there, and they stayed in tune remarkably well. Here I wanted to show the biggest problem with this guitar was the nut cut. It was way too high. As you can see here, the gap is just too much. So I had to go ahead and file the nut down, and it's just a long process, you know, because you gotta just go one string at a time and be careful, because you don't want to take it down too far. Then you just cause more work for yourself. So I got it done, and the guitar played and sounded much, much better. So this is what it looked like after I finished with it. It's a plastic nut, so you just got to be real careful when you're doing these. And I was able to clean it up a little bit, get it looking halfway decent, and now we're playing in tune. So the fretboard is Amaranth or Purple Heart. Now, this is my first experience with this fretboard, and I really like it. It's a little darker than rosewood, but it's not quite as dense as ebony. And you can see here it's got the jumbo frets. They did need a little bit of polish, but out of all the cheap guitars that I've reviewed so far, this one had the best fretwork on it. It is a 12-inch radius all the way down the neck. And you can see here that it's exactly 12-inch radius there. So all the frets were nice and level. There was no sprouts. All the edges were great. And hopefully you can see here that it's just a little bit dull, right? So you can kind of feel a little bit of resistance when you're playing it. And that's just a quick polish. There ain't nothing to it. And so this is what it looked like after I got done polishing them up and getting them looking nice and pretty. Now this is something that's sort of a nitpick for me. At this price point, you would never expect this kind of fretwork on it. It's just something I like to do, and it feels so much better when you're playing it. Now this is a dinky super strat, so it's going to have the same cuts as a strat does, but it's 7/8 the size, so it's a tad bit smaller. This is also a poplar body with a thick poly paint on it. And the finish was great. It was no dings or dents or anything. The neck pocket looked a little bit sloppy, but this is another thing that at that price point, this is pretty much to be expected now. You might lose a little bit of sustain, but I mean, you know, most people aren't going to be playing gigs with this guitar. So here are the pickups and the pickup cavity. I believe this is shielding paint. I forgot to check for continuity in these cavities. I did check in the control cavity and it didn't read, so. The routes look good. It all looked solid as far as that goes. These pickups are the Jackson branded high output pickups, so you're talking about, I mean, this is a metal guitar, right? So they're definitely gonna read quite high. There was no markings on the back as far as the neck or bridge or anything like that. But the fit and finish was nice and tight. Everything felt really good. And I did put an ohm meter on it to check the resistance. And we have the neck pickup right here. And then the two pickups together. And right here is the bridge pickup. This has the 2-point fulcrum bridge, the knife edge bridge with individual saddles. The saddles really reminded me of like the old 80s Fender guitars, you know, the little square machined saddle, which I had one on my telly for years and they worked really well. And once again, I think for this price point, this bridge is outstanding. The saddles had paint on them, and so I think for my own benefit, I just took a little bit of that paint off where the string touches the saddle. I typically don't use painted hardware, so I really wasn't sure if it was going to make that much of a difference anyway. I mean, especially with hot pickups like that, it probably doesn't. But what I plan to do with this guitar in the future, it might actually make a little bit of a difference. Here's the bridge. It was quite hefty. I was really surprised at the weight of it. I just weighed it just for the heck of it, and it weighed 321 grams, and it really kind of took me by surprise. And here's the control cavity and the trem cavity. They both seem to be routed out really well. The covers all fit nice and snug, so you don't have to worry about anything working its way loose. Here's the trem cavity. There was a little bit of a split in the wood there, but the rest of it looked great. Everything felt really solid putting it all back together though. Here's the control cavity. It is painted. It has 2 mini pots, and they're both audio taper 500Ks. It also has a circuit board 3-way switch, but I was really surprised at how solid that switch felt. Some of these cheaper switches, you can feel like you're gonna break the thing, you know what I mean? And so this was nice and solid. And here's the volume and the tone knob with the 3-way switch. It felt really, really great especially for inexpensive electronics, you know? So here's the cutaway for the fret access, and I really liked it. I thought it was very tastefully done, and it looks really nice on the back of that guitar. The neck plate looked nice and thick. All the screws were real tight and good to go. Obviously, this being a Super Strat, it's going to have a belly cut in it, and really the body looked great on this thing. So we have a maple neck with graphite reinforcement. It is a very thin, they call it a fast neck. There's the scarf joint right there. And it has a satin finish on it, and so it feels nice and smooth. As you can see, it's very, very thin, but it's very easy to play. It's very comfortable. I usually play a compound radius guitar, but this 12-inch radius felt great. It is 25.5-inch scale length, so it'd be like your Strat. And it has a dual action truss rod. Here is the neck profile. That's for the 1st fret there. And the other one is for the 12th fret right there. Here is the measurement for the nut. Everything's in millimeters. And here is a measurement for the 1st fret. And then we have the measurement for the 12th fret. And so I had to do a quick tweak on the neck. It was a little bit too straight, but that's all part of the setup of a new guitar anyway. So got that straightened out real quick, and it's time to set the action. And then we'll tune her up and set the intonation and get her ready to play. Here is the weight. I don't know if you can see that really well, but it's 7.5 pounds. It feels substantial, that's for sure. And that's it. We're all done with it. There was a lot of really great stuff on this guitar, especially for the money. I mean, $138, you can't beat it, man. Okay, so let's do a little sound check here. So I'm running through the Neuro DSP Morgan Amps plugin. I spent a little time with this guitar and this setup, and I tried to get it as close to the edge of breakup as I could. Obviously, this guitar is not designed for what I'm trying to do with it. This is just kind of a fun thing for me to do. So it does sound a little bit boomy, and it's a bit harsh on the high end. But I didn't want to roll off any more of the lows just because it felt like I was losing a lot too. So we're just going to play around with it a little bit and see what it sounds like. That's the neck pickup. So we can roll it off a little bit here, and it cleans up even more. Then it starts to get a little muddy sounded. This is the middle pickups. Back it off a little bit. Same thing with the bridge pickup. So you can hear how it breaks up real easy. Back off the volume a little here. So one other thing about this is that it's surprisingly dynamic. Like I can play real quiet and it you know. But then I can, you know, and it breaks up pretty nicely. And see, that's on the neck pickup. The two middle pickups together. And then we'll do the bridge pickup. And then it's the same thing, you know, I can just play real dynamically and just be real quiet with it, you know. Cleans up pretty good. Same thing with the middle pickups. And then obviously the bridge pickup is super hot, so it's a little tougher to kind of get that nice nuance, but you can work it a little bit anyway. I think that pickups is what gives it that kind of buzzy sound. I'm just not used to it, but then again, I normally play a lot, you know, a lot lower output pickups, so. But the nice thing is that you can get dynamics out of it, and, you know, it's kind of close, you know what I mean? Like, you can still hear some nuance. And I mean, for the price of this guitar, it's crazy good, you know, really, to be honest with you. What I want to do next is go ahead and replace the pickups. I'm either going to use this guitar, or I'm thinking about checking out their hardtail and trying to do it with that. And so once we replace the pickups with something, then we'll do another sound check and try to check it out. If you're thinking about getting this guitar, I would pull the trigger, you know. If you're a heavy metal guy, it's a no-brainer. But even if you're having reservations because, you know, it might not fit the style of music, for the money and a little time, you can actually dial something in with this guitar. So it might not be exactly what you're looking for, but you can get kind of close. And then with an inexpensive pickup swap and a few custom mods, you can get yourself a decent guitar to learn on. I hope this video helped, and if so, please give it a like and a subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, please let me know down below, and we will talk to you on the next one. Thank you.